Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to put together our first card using the Altenew Cozy Spaces. This is going to be a 5x7. And I have jumped right in here because this is on the longer end of videos. We're running about 20 minutes here, even with me editing quite a bit and speeding things up. So if you want to skip ahead to the layered stamping, that's going to be at around the 7-minute mark. If you want to get to just putting the card together, that's going to be at the 10-minute, 30-second mark. But I wanted to show you how all these fit together. So though I do have this sped up, it does take a little bit of time showing you how everything fits together here. So I'm giving you a look at this keyhole lineup system. For each chair that faces each different direction, one is a keyhole, and the one you see me working on here is a triangle. So I'm showing you how these layer together, and I'm going to do each type of chair, showing you both sides of those. And then I will also do the lamp as well as the table, which I didn't actually end up using the table, but it is a nice piece to sort of add in to fill in your room. So as you can see, I'm slowly layering my pieces here using some art glitter glue. It's pretty self-explanatory. They give really good instructions on the packaging that this comes with. But here you get a look at the keyhole shape. So you start with sort of the back side of the chair there. You add your back cushion. And these are all marked 1, 2, 3, 4-year layers as well when you cut them out, which is incredibly helpful. The most difficult part of these particular chairs was the little wooden piece in the middle. You have to put it at an angle to kind of fill in that opening there that you see underneath the bottom cushion. So I'm very carefully just lining up the side piece, the other, I guess, arm of my chair. And then I'm going to add some glue. And then you place this down underneath that cushion with the wider portion of that sort of triangle or rectangular shape away from you. And this makes sense when you're looking at it because that's kind of what the opening looks like. The shape sort of somewhat lines up. So you layer down your cushion to cover up your keyhole, and then you just layer the leg there, and you have got everything perfectly in place. I do add a little bit of glue then to the back part of the chair here. I'm going to press that onto my back cushion as well. Now I left the arm portion open because I made several pillows and I wanted to be able to swap the colors in and out as I was making my cards. But once I decide which color I want to use, I do glue that pillow in place just to make sure that it doesn't get lost. There you can see I'm grabbing one of the pillows to put in there. And these are distinctive. The chair that's facing that direction has the larger pillow. You can see by the curve at the bottom of them, the larger pillow fits perfectly along the cushion. And then this chair that's facing the opposite direction has a smaller pillow. So here you can see we are lining these up. Again, using that keyhole system, which is so handy. And once you get the hang of adding this little piece here, it does get easier with each one that you put together. So while we finish up this chair, I'm going to let you know the cardstock I used today. From Spellbinders, I've got Terracotta, Saffron, Cascade, Tuscan, Cinnamon, and Fawn. From Stamp Market, Waterfall, Paper Tray Ink, Lavender Moon. And from Concord and Ninth, Briar Rose, and Nutmeg. So I did use one of my color cubes, color cube number 76, as a starting off point. It had a very sort of beachy Miami feel to it, which I thought was great for these non-traditional Christmas cards. And then I did add in a few other colors, obviously for the wood of the chairs and then some highlights and lowlights to give dimension to our die cuts. And there you can see that smaller pillow, again, fits right along the curve of that bottom cushion. The table's very quick to put together, just a layer of the lighter wood in between. You could, of course, do these in lots of other colors too if you wanted. And then lastly, we'll put together the lamp. Again, I've gone with the wooden color, so I have the darker for the bottom with the lighter for the base. And then the pole of the lamp is again in the darker. I'm going to add just a little bit of glue at the bottom. I'm using my mat here to make sure I've got that lined up nice and straight. Then again, we have the keyhole for the lampshade. Easily layer both of those down. All right, we are getting into the stamping now. These are layered stamps. Some have 2, some have 3 layers. And of course we have the pots as well. I've taken 2 of my chairs and laid these out on my card front just to get an idea of where I wanted to place everything. And I'm going to go ahead and grab 2 of my pots. I'm going to have the plants sort of sitting behind my chairs there. So I'm using the 2 cement or terracotta pots. Mine are going to be cement. And let me tell you the ink I'm using. So I've got, from close to my heart, I'm using Toffee, Mink, Espresso, Fern, and New England Ivy. I've then also pulled in Garden Green from Stampin' Up! And Steel Blue from Simon Says Stamp. So I'm using the Mink there to create my cement pots. And then I will fill that in with Toffee for the dirt. Now we're going to stamp the bottom layer of our Fiddle Leaf Fig. I am absolutely in love with this stamp. I'm going to use Fern for that one. And this is a water-based ink, so you may see some spots that don't look like they're quite filled in. This ink will move and blend and give a really solid fill-in once it dries. Here we have our base layer. And then the top layer is in 2 different stamps. So this is the larger of the 2. We're going to use that New England Ivy. And that's going to create all that depth. These were very easy to line up as well. They're marked like A1, A2, A3, so they're very easy to find which goes together. But then even layering them on top of one another, they were very easy to place. I didn't have any trouble with this at all. Again, using our New England Ivy on the second piece. And then we've got our stem. I'm going to use Espresso for that. And we'll do the same thing with the smaller rubber tree plant, but we're going to start stem first since we're already doing that. And I found that as I stamped these out, it was easier to line up the rubber tree if you did that stem first. And then this is just one piece here. I'm going to use the Stampin' Up! Garden Green on it. It gives me a little bit of a darker sort of blue tone in that a little bit for the rubber tree plant. All right, lastly, we're going to add our sentiments. And because I was kind of thinking Miami with this, I thought it would be really nice to add in some golds. So I'm going to heat emboss the Season's Greetings. I did go ahead and hit that with my powder tool, and then I'm using my Versamark ink to stamp out the sentiment. Sorry, I kind of got off to the side here. You can't see what I'm doing terribly well, but I am adding in my gold embossing powder. This is Wow Superfine Polished Gold is the color that I use. So off camera, I hit that with my heat tool, and there you can see that is all embossed, ready to go. And now I'm going to lay out my card again. So I've grabbed my chair, and then I realized I grabbed the wrong chair there. So I'm going to grab my light purple chair and my blue chair and get those sort of lined up where I think I want everything to be. And then I have some clouds that I've cut out. These clouds obviously were not included with the chair die set. I pulled these from the Spellbinders Flyby Greetings, the plain set. I'm going to have videos of that coming up for you guys soon as well. And I wanted to give this Miami beachy kind of feel, and I thought, how can I make this seem, tropical and outdoors? And I also wanted to pull in this blue color because of the color cube that I was using. So these were the perfect way to do it. I absolutely love the way that they turned out. It's just such a very different holiday card. So now that I've got everything put into place, I'm going to very carefully attempt to add a little art glitter glue behind the base of that lamp. As you can see, it had a different plan in mind, but we've got it placed down. It works just fine. And now I'm going to grab a little bit of mint tape to hold my panel in place, just to help me out a little bit so things aren't moving too much. I've got a lot of working pieces here. And then for my lampshade, I'm going to put a foam dot behind that and pop it up. I think this gives some really fun dimension. It kind of has the lamp hanging out in the scene, the way that it's supposed to be. And I also like the look of the pole. Like the pole's attached flat to the card at the bottom, and then it kind of pulls up. It gives some really fun dimension, I think, just in a very minimal way. I'll, of course, go ahead and add my chairs next. I'm going to pop those up as well using some foam dots. I want to, again, give that dimension, and that will help with making the plants look like they are behind our chairs. I'm going to add a little glue there to make sure that this pillow doesn't go anywhere. And then we'll go ahead and press our chair into place. Doing the same thing here for the other chair. And we will press him into place as well. All right, lastly, for this panel, we need to get our clouds attached. I, again, kind of playing around with dimension on this. I'm going to pop some of these up, just 2 of them, I think, actually, and then I will leave the other 3. We're going to glue those directly onto the card base. All right, and our scene is complete. I'm going to go ahead here and trim off the excess of those clouds. I'm going to pull in my color cube that I used as my inspiration. I think I did a pretty good job matching those colors. I am really, really pleased with how that turned out. All right, now we're going to focus on the inside and we're going to stamp out that third plant that we haven't used yet. So this, I'm not sure what type of plant this is. If you guys know, let me know in the comments, please. But it's sort of this big fronded plant. Again, using the same colors, just in a little bit of a different mix here. We've got that mink for our cement pot. We're going to do the first layer in our fern. And one thing to be careful with, I wanted this going off of my paper. I just love the look of kind of a continuing scene, like this was just cut out from somewhere else. Make sure you're wiping the excess off of your MISTI or whatever stamping tool you're using, otherwise it's going to get all over your paper. And this is actually my Neenah 24-pound paper. It's not cardstock, so the ink blended really well on this. It held up really well to the stamping. I normally wouldn't put this much ink on the paper because it's layered. I don't do a lot of layered stamping. If I stamped, it's usually an outline or just a phrase, but I was really pleased with how this held up. So our second layer there was, of course, our New England ivy, and then this third darker sort of stemmed layer, I'm going to pull in that Stampin' Up! Garden Green. I just love the detail that you get with these. These are so much fun. I want tons more layered stamps like this now that I've played with them. They are great. And lastly, we will add our dirt in with our toffee ink. We'll go ahead and finish this up with a sentiment. I'm going with warm wishes and cool vibes. And we're going to use our New England ivy for that. I'll go ahead and add my panel to my card base. This is a 5x7 card base that I have made from my trusty Neenah 110-pound white. Just add some art glitter glue there and press that into place. And I'll use my bone folder to make sure that's down nice and tight, no bubbles. Checking all my edges to make sure that they are nice and even. And then we'll go ahead and add our insert. I'm just going to do a line of ATG down the center there. And we'll place that on the inside. And that is our Miami warm weather, non-traditional Christmas card for today. I will be back with more of these for you in the next coming videos. Here are a few close-ups of the finished card. In the description box below, you'll find my blog post, which has additional photos and links to the supplies I've used. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.